Pokemon Go Fest 2024 has a lot of raid bosses, including a lot of Ultra Beast raid bosses. Today's video, we will be going over all the top counters for every single one of these Ultra Beasts, and at the end, I will be showing you which ones are the most meta relevant and useful. So, let's get into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So let's start off with the information for Guzzlord, beginning with its Hundo CP. Non-weather boosted, its Hundo CP is going to be 1,650, and weather boosted is going to be 2,062. Moving on to his weaknesses, Guzzlord is 2 times weak to Fairy, and just 1 times weak to Fighting, Bug, Dragon, and Ice. Moving on to resistances, Guzzlord is 2 times resistant to Psychic and just resistant to Dark, Electric, Fire, Ghost, Grass, and Water. Now let's move on to counters, starting with normal counters. Starting off with Enamorus, Xerneas, Gardevoir, Tapu Koko, Tapu Lele, and Togekiss. Now let's get to Shadow counters with Shadow Gardevoir, Shadow Grumble, and Shadow Alakazam. Now let's move on to Mega counters with Mega Gardevoir, Mega Alakazam, and Mega Rayquaza. Now let's move on to Guzzlord's stats. With a stamina of 440, an attack of 188, and a defense of 99, Guzzlord is aight. But let's move on to the final Hundo CP, fully maxed out, which is going to be at 2,887. Now we move on to LiQWYD. So let's get into it, starting off with the Hundo CP. Non-weather boosted, the Hundo CP for LiQWYD is going to be 2,256, and weather boosted, the Hundo CP is going to be 2,821. Now let's go over weaknesses. LiQWYD has a weakness to Ground, Psychic, Steel, and Water, and is resistant against Bug, Fairy, Fire, Flying, Normal, and Poison. With all of that covered, let's now move into counters. Starting off with normal counters with Landorus Therian form, Landorus Incarnate form, Groudon, Excadrill, Mamoswine, Garchomp, and now let's move on to shadow counters with Shadow Groudon, Shadow Excadrill, Shadow Garchomp, and now let's move on to mega counters with Primal Groudon, Mega Garchomp, and Mega Swampert. Now let's move on to this thing's stats. With a stamina of 240, an attack of 249, and a defense of 210, LiQWYD is actually pretty good, and you'll see why at the end of this video. Now let's go over its max CP at level 50, being 4,465. which is actually pretty high for a Pokemon like LiQWYD. Okay then, so we're going to start off with Cortana here with the Hundo CP and the weaknesses, and then we're going to move over to Celesteela, and we're just going to be going over weaknesses for these two, not resistances. So we're going to start off with Cortana with its Hundo CP. Its Hundo CP is going to be 2,101 non-weather boosted, and weather boosted it's going to be 2,626. And it's going to have a 2 times weakness to fire and a weakness to fighting. Moving on to resistances on Cortana, it's going to be resistant to normal, poison, steel, rock, water, dragon, fairy, psychic, and electric. Now you're probably wondering about Cortana's stats. With a stamina of 139, an attack of 358, and a defense of 242, this thing is actually really good, and once again you'll see why later in the video. And Cortana's max level 50 Hundo CP is going to be 4,156. Now let's move on to Celesteela with its Hundo CP non-weather boosted being 1,772 and its 100% IV Weather boosted is 2216. It holds a weakness to electric and fire, but it also holds resistances against bug, dragon, fairy, flying, grass, ground, normal, poison, psychic, and steel. Celesteela's stats consist of 219 stamina, 207 attack, and 199 defense. And Celesteela's max level 50 Hundo CP is going to be 3102. Now let's move on to normal counters. These counters apply for both Celesteela and Cortana, with Rusharam, Blacephalon, Heatran, Darmanitan, Volcarona, and Chandelier. Moving on to the shadow counters, we have Shadow Darmanitan, Shadow Chandelier, and Shadow Entei. Now we move on to the Mega counters with Mega Blaziken, Mega Charizard Y, and Mega Houndoom. Okay, though my first raid for Cortana may have ran from me, I did another one and I got this. So now we're gonna go ahead and check this thing. Hopefully it's shiny so I don't have to go through the absolute hell of trying to catch it. Oh my god, it actually is shiny. Oh my gosh. I'm done. I don't have to hunt for it during GoFest. It's no longer a priority. And that's a shiny Cortana Dex entry as well. That is amazing, man. Extremely lucky and amazing. Okay, I'm gonna make this short and simple, but I've actually already covered counters for these two. You have to go ahead and watch this video on the channel. Don't worry, there's timestamps, so you can just go to those timestamps if you want to know how to defeat Blacephalon and Stakataka. But I'm just here to say that I'm not doing those again. I'm not gonna re-edit technically the same thing. So yeah, just go ahead, watch this video if you want the counters that bad. Okay then, so we're gonna go ahead and start off with Xurkitree here. And we're not gonna go over counters because every single counter you can use against Nihilego can be used against Xurkitree as effectively. So let's get into it. Starting off with Xurkitree's Hundo CP. Non-weather boosted, Xurkitree's Hundo CP is going to be 2249. And weather boosted, its Hundo CP is going to be 2812. Moving on to its weaknesses, it only has a weakness to ground, yet it has a lot more resistances, being resistant to electric, flying, and steel. Like I said before, for raid counters, after I'm done with Xurkitree, you can go back into the video and go to Nihilego, because all the raid counters you're supposed to use with Nihilego can be used with Xurkitree. So now let's get to the last bit of information for Xurkitree, with its stats. Xurkitree is going to have a stamina of 195, an attack of 330, and a defense of 144. Ending it off, Xurkitree has a max Hundo CP of 4,451. So for Buzzwole and Pheromosa, the counters and the weaknesses and resistance will count for both since they have the same exact typing, therefore meaning they have the same counters and the same weaknesses and resistances. So let's get into it, starting off with Buzzwole. Buzzwole's Hundo CP non-weather boosted is going to be 1,997, and its Hundo CP weather boosted is going to be 2,472. For stats, Buzzwole is going to have a stamina of 216, an attack of 236, and a defense of 196. And it's going to also have a max Hundo CP of 3,461. Moving on, Pheromosa will have a max Hundo CP non-weather boosted of 1,624, and will have a max Hundo CP weather boosted of 2,030. And Pheromosa's stats consist of 174 stamina, 316 attack, and 85 defense, and a max Hundo CP of 3,213. Now let's move on to resistances and weaknesses and counters which apply for both of these Pokemon. Starting off with weaknesses and resistances, both of these Pokemon have a 2x weakness to flying and a weakness to fire, psychic, and fairy. And then Buzzwole and Pheromosa are resistant against bug, dark, fighting, grass, and ground. Now that we know the weaknesses of these Pokemon, let's go over counters. Starting off with normal counters. Starting with Rayquaza, Enamorus, Yveltal, Moltres, Tornadus in Therian form, and Braviary. Moving on to shadow counters, we have Shadow Moltres, Shadow Staraptor, and Shadow Zapdos. Moving on to mega counters, we have Mega Rayquaza, Mega Pidgeot, and Mega Charizard Y. Okay then, so that's it for today's video. I hope that this helps you take down all the Ultra Beast raid boss during the Pokemon Go Fest 2024 event a lot easier. And I hope that with this newfound information, you are able to get countless shinies of all of these raid bosses. With this though, I do have a few things to show you guys before the video ends, just related to how my Inbound from Ultra Space event went. And after that, I'll see you off, and I'll see you guys again during Monday. And yeah, enjoy. So now we're gonna go ahead and claim these Pokemon, and I will tell you if they're worth catching and what they're worth catching for when I catch them. So yeah, first things first, before we get into the encounters though, which could possibly give us a shiny, we're gonna claim the XL candies for Blacephalon, Stakataka, Guzzlord, Nihilego, Cortana, I Hate You, Celesteela, Xurkitree, Buzzwole, and last but not least, Pheromosa. Now we're gonna go ahead and claim our 10 Cosmog Candy, 2024 Stardust, and 1 Star Piece, which we definitely needed. And now we get into the encounters. Starting off with Blacephalon. You do want to catch Blacephalon because it's actually a decent fire type raid attacker. Not as good as a ghost type raid attacker, but it is a decent fire type raid attacker though. And now we're probably gonna get Stakataka. Yeah, we got Stakataka. So Stakataka is actually useless. There's no point in catching it because it's not good at anything. So it has 0 meta relevancy. So now we are going to get Guzzlord. He's actually pretty good in the Great and Ultra League. Not too amazing, but still Guzzlord is a very good Pokemon for the Great and Ultra League. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, if you claim this research, your Guzzlord is going to be Great League eligible. Next up though is going to be Nihilego. Nihilego is actually going to be a pretty decent rock type raid attacker, but where it's mainly at is its poison type attack. Poison type attack, because this thing is going to be probably the most meta relevant Pokemon for poison type raid attacking that's currently available in the game. So it sucks for me. It doesn't even matter. I already got a good Nihilego, so it's not gonna be too important here. Shiny Cortana again, man. Okay, speaking of Cortana, it's actually, I'm pretty sure, a very good grass type raid attacker, probably #1 now that I think about it. But yeah, that's a shiny Cortana as well. Crazy. All right, now we got the Cortana caught, and hopefully it's good. It sucks. I was hoping for it to be a Shundo, but Cortana is a very good grass type raid attacker to the point where it's very worth raiding. And we also got Celesteela here, useless. Literally, it has no purpose being in this game. But I guess it's very cool to get because it's actually a regional Pokemon. So if you want that regional shiny, you can go ahead and get it. But this is going to be a Dex entry for me. Boom shakalaka. And yeah. Next up we have Xurkitree. Xurkitree is actually, I'm pretty sure, the #1 electric type raid attacker in the game right now. So it is actually extremely worth catching, and it's also extremely hard to catch. I will definitely be remote raiding this thing, and pretty much the same goes for same goes for Cortana. I recommend that you grind those two because they're definitely the most meta relevant out of all of the Ultra Beasts. Next up, I'm pretty sure we should have Buzzwole. Okay, yeah, we do have Buzzwole. Buzzwole is actually not too meta relevant, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Am I right or am I wrong? Buzzwole isn't too meta relevant, but it is actually good for the Great and Ultra League, just like Guzzlord, but it's way better for the Great and Ultra League compared to Guzzlord. Thank you for going in. Thank you. I appreciate it. I suck at the game, I know. That is going to be my Buzzwole Dex entry. Yo, what you'll notice from this is that before this video, I had almost no Ultra Beasts. Oh my god, that could have been a woman. Gosh. Okay then, the last encounter is going to be Pheromosa, which is not shiny. Dang, bro, I seriously only got one shiny, and it was one that I already had. You gotta be freaking kidding me. Okay, I like shiny Cortana anyway, so I'm cool with that. And hopefully I can get shiny Xurkitree while I'm rating it. But yeah, Pheromosa is actually the #1 bug-type raid attacker, but it's very squishy though. So in terms of DPS, it's the #1 bug-type raid attacker. Now we're also gonna go ahead and claim these candies, and we're also gonna go ahead and say goodbye. I guess I will see you guys in 2 days for Pokemon Go Global Go Fest. That is literally all the Ultra Beasts caught in the game. And, you know, we got some pretty cool things out of this. And not only that, I hope you're able to defeat all these raid bosses with minimal effort. So, yeah, with that, it's your boy Sablis signing out, and see y'all on Monday of next week.